Hello and welcome back to the channel for another English couple. This time we are out and about on our couple, a bit like the old days. We're going to go for a walk, but we thought it would be fun to talk about the importance of going for a walk as a couple.
Absolutely.
Or as a family, whatever it is you do. It looks like we're a bit washed out at the moment, but hopefully when we step outside, the colours will sort themselves out. So, after you, lovely Julia. We're in the van and we have parked up fairly near. I'm going to give you the camera. So it's all makeshift productions today. We've parked up near Sisbury, but we're south of Sisbury.
Excellent.
And it's actually quite a warmish day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been really heavily raining for, well, 24 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, we've had a lot of rain, so we're hoping it's not going to be too wet underfoot. But going up on the downs, of course, it's chalk and water just goes through chalk as if it's like a sponge.
Yes, yeah.
So this is where we're going, up here. Have a look at this.
Lovely.
Nice country walk.
Lots
So
of leaves on the path, that's great. It's a good sign.
it is a bit windy as well, so we're hoping that the wind isn't going to mar the recording too much. But we'll do our best. It's nice to get back out into the countryside.
No camping, barbecues or fires, apparently.
Oh, well, there we are. We've parked the van, but we will actually have a cup of tea a bit later on for a different...
But that's not camping.
That's not really camping, is it?
No.
We're not staying overnight. I think it is important for couples to get out, especially into the countryside, and walk together and spend time in doing that, because it's a time when you can talk over things,
Yeah.
especially difficult things. You know, if you've got problems in your relationship, you can talk over those things. You're sort of in neutral territory.
Yeah, yeah.
You're inspired by the nature of everything, and in a way it puts you in perspective to life's problems, because if you're in the countryside, especially if you've got hills around an open space, often you can realise just how small
Yeah.
your
There's perspective, isn't there?
your problems hopefully will seem a little smaller.
Not to mention that by walking, you're using your body, obviously, stating the obvious, but that in turn, that gets your mind going. It's almost like lubrication on the brain, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I do my best thinking if I'm either pacing around the house or, better still, out and about, which is in many ways why I started the channel doing walks, because you're not only observing the countryside, but also you're able to think more clearly, I think, because the body is doing something.
Yeah.
So that's one reason I think is good. Oh look, we've got this
Little
rather
archway.
beautiful arch coming up. I'll let you walk through. And
Is that a fallen tree that's slowly covered in ivy? Yep, well that's ivy. It's bizarre. Partially fallen, partially bent and warped.
I think also that thing about being able to observe nature together is a lovely thing.
There's a King Alfred's cake over there. I wonder if we can... It's quite high up. I've never seen one so high before. There.
You'll have to explain to me what King Alfred's cake
It's
is.
a fungus that has
Oh yes, that's
picked
right.
up the nickname of King Alfred's cakes.
I don't know if
If you've
you'll
ever
see
heard
it
the
up there.
story of that, anyone from Winchester would be able to tell you. I say that, that's a stereotype, isn't it? Sorry.
Well, when he burnt the cakes...
Mind the poop, mind the poop.
Where is it?
There.
I can't
It's
see it.
over
Oh, there.
So stick round that way.
It's all very well saying mind the poop, but if you can't see it, you're standing going,
Well, more to the point, if you're standing on the guy's blind side going, mind the poop!
yes. It's all a bit of fun, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
So the being outdoors and sharing experiences, I mean, I think going away together is a good thing, because you're sharing happy experiences of places, which is another nice thing to do as a couple. You can be, I think, so into your immediate life, home life, setting up life with children and things like that, that you can sometimes forget the greater world.
Yes.
And the experiences, like just, coming out as we are at the moment. through this beautiful woodland.
Some lovely root steps we've just come up from the tree there. Do, 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 do. Thank you, tree.
And a lovely gate here to go through. I think we'll adhere to going up. I know it's a bit of a pain, but if we stay in the lee of the trees here, we'll be out of the wind. Going up that way. Are you all right? Did you hurt yourself?
You just didn't move my hand in time.
Well, that was daft.
Well, you're looking at her. Daft is as daft does.
Yes, there's an expression. Funnily enough, I read that in a book the other day, and I was trying to work out daft is as daft does. And it's one of those, what was that other expression?
Well, from Forrest Gump, it's...
Make do and mend. No, not make do and mend. What was the other one that you had to explain to me?
I know this. Waste not, want not.
Yes, these sort of very shortened, almost poetic...
It's almost proverbs, aren't they? But
yes, but
not.
you go waste not, want not, and you think, well, actually, I know what it sort of means, don't waste things.
Don't waste what you don't want.
Yes, but how do you
Someone's going to want it.
Yes, anyway, so what
Or it's
was
good for something, so basically.
And what was the expression you just used?
Daft is as daft does?
Yes, daft is as... I mean, that's another sort of nonsense rhyme, isn't it? But you sort of know what it means.
Yeah. But try to explain that.
Yes.
And you just repeat the saying again.
Yes.
And again.
Mad. See, this is the advantage of going out with your partner, is that you can discuss these absolutely stupid things. Inane topics in the middle of the countryside and not have to worry if anybody else thinks you're an idiot, which I'm sure they do quite regularly. I'm going to give you the camera to hold now because my arm is hurting. Yes.
It's quite a hill, isn't it?
It is. It's a lovely hill. I haven't come up here for a while. We came up here with Joe not so long ago, but we were further to the north. But it's very lovely looking back.
Further to the north.
Be careful how you move the camera.
Sorry.
Yes, that's up that way. It's nice to look behind us because you can see the valley there. That's looking down towards Broadwater, which is sort of really constructed in the 1930s as a valley as you come out of Worthing. But this is, I mean, we used to do these walks all the time. This is a little bit different for us because we're trying to have a conversation about one specific subject in the English couple. We thought we'd just give this a whirl.
Yeah.
And it's quite nice to do that, to get out for a change. By the way, I have to say, thanks for those people who sent in the emails about the recent video we did about candles.
Oh, yes.
And we're back in the kitchen. I have to tell you that it was a bit windy yesterday.
It was a smudge.
One of them.
It was
a
windy.
bit windy. So
we
did retreat to the van and we recorded something else which went out yesterday in the Made in England show that we do. So that was that. And so we thought we would have another cup of tea. I think it should be warm enough. So we can continue our conversation about going out to places as couples or...
Taking a perambulation with your partner.
Yes. Now, I suppose it's a nice day today and we could have actually gone down to the seafront. I did think about that actually.
Yeah.
And perambulated along the promenade. Shall I be mother this time?
Yes, please.
Here we go. Is that enough?
So you decided against that?
Well, I just thought, I know you were feeling a bit tender today, let's put it that way. And it's got a hot water bottle.
Yay for hot water bottles.
Yes. So I thought, no, best to just keep you in, because I'm looking after you. We can talk about partners.
It's mighty lovely of you.
Yeah, thank you very much. We can talk about partners looking after one another on another occasion. So, yeah, I think that living here as we do by the seafront, I hope that's okay.
That's wonderful.
Is an advantage for us because it's lovely to go down to the seafront and stroll along the prom because depending on the weather and the sea itself, it changes so much. It can just be very different. And we have the pier, which is lovely.
Right. It's an absolute
boon
feature, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's really nice to, just to go out because I think sometimes if you've only got the park to go round, if you're in a city and you've got the same old places and you're going out, what's the incentive? And as we explained before, going out is a great time when you can talk to one another, which you may not be able to do with all the
hustle and bustle of daily life at home.
Exactly, and the distractions. You know, people on their phone. I mean, it's dreadful if you're trying to talk to your partner or your children or anybody, you know,
and they're like this,
and you're saying hello, because having the eye contact, having the attention, having someone.
Having a response when you're speaking to someone is absolutely imperative, isn't it? Otherwise, there's no communication actually happening. You're just talking to a brick wall.
Yes.
Hello, brick wall.
Hello,
I have done that many a time in my life.
When I was at mime school, we learnt, here's a bit of body language. We learnt an interesting thing, that if somebody has their chest, and my good old Desmond Jones, my mime teacher, would say, if your nipples are pointing at the person, it means you're fully engaged. Even though the head might be looking around like this, you're committed to that person in the conversation. But if the person's chest moves away, even though their head is here, it means they're engaged elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it's psychological.
Yeah, it's funny you say about the nipples, because that's almost word for word what my ballet teacher used to say.
Oh, well, there we go.
Except they're your headlights.
Right.
You have to point your headlights in such and such a direction. And, yeah.
So what, you know, when you're at a party or something like that, and if somebody is facing you like this, you know they're actually interested in you. Not necessarily interested to be your friend or anything, but engaged.
They're invested in your conversation.
In that conversation. But it's if they're like this, that you know they're flighty. If you know they might be like this, you know at any minute they could just float away. So that's interesting.
Sorry.
Of course, that's not so easy if you are actually walking along. You know, if you're walking hand in hand. Do you walk hand in hand with your partner?
Oh, who does that?
Who does that? We do that.
That's so sick.
We do that. It's not sick.
It's sickly sweet. No,
Why
it's
is
not,
it
no, it's
sickly
not
sweet?
sickly sweet. I'm just teasing.
Get the teasing.
Devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate.
Advocate.
Good old Kate.
Devil's advocate.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We are now walking in the park, holding hands.
Walking
And
again.
you might think, oh, this production's full of locations, but actually we've just been plagued.
Absolutely plagued this week.
Our microphones just went down when we were having the cup of tea, and we only got those 4 or 5 minutes that you saw.
We did another 4 or 5 minutes on that, and it was quite a nice conversation. I'm sorry you missed out.
You missed out. We were talking about other places that you could go as a couple, interesting places.
Like art galleries.
Yes.
And then we went off on a little
We did
discussion about
get
art.
on about art a bit, so maybe you've been saved
perhaps.
from that. So it is a beautiful day as we walk out and do that. The other thing that we mentioned is that if you've got a difficult conversation that you need to have,
Yes.
sitting in a car on a long journey is a great time for those sort of conversations, because you don't necessarily have to make eye contact.
No.
Because you're looking, well, one person's concentrating on the road for one thing.
You'd hope.
You'd hope so. And you hope that anger won't get or tempers won't rise too much. Because obviously you've got to try and keep yourself safe as much as you can.
But neutral ground is always a good place for those conversations, isn't it?
Yes.
So going out for a walk to one of the parks or something.
Don't forget,
Sorry,
you've got to talk
I've got
a
to
bit
be loud 'cause
louder.
I've got no microphone on me.
No microphone.
Sorry.
We're relying on the camera microphone today because of our technical issues, so it's a bit frustrating.
Yeah, but there are lots of different types of park to go to, isn't it? There's like park land, the landscapes type thing.
Yes.
Victoriana type. And then there's play parks.
That's right, play parks, which you would take your kids to, presumably.
Well, yeah.
Now, I don't know if we mentioned about going around the National Trust properties. We may not have mentioned that because I can't remember what we said, what it was actually, until we get to the edit, I can't remember what we've spoken about. So if we're now repeating ourselves, then
we're very sorry.
We're sorry, but you know, got a different background going on. So
lovely dogs around, very lovely.
Yes, National Trust properties are
oh yes,
are quite nice.
yes. We talked about having had membership there for a while, but unfortunately, because everyone kept saying, oh, you should get membership for the National Trust and do some of those locations, and eventually someone did very kindly buy us.
Yes. And then COVID came.
And then COVID hit, so
And
we couldn't use it.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that, but
That was very kind, but
yeah,
yes.
unfortunately.
So it's something that we'll probably renew in the future,
Yes.
because it is lovely to go and see these big country houses and see how other people lived. Because also, even though you may not have the money to emulate what they do, it might give you ideas that as a couple, if you're setting up a home together, you might think, actually, you know, look, I quite like that Regency look or the Georgian look.
You get a feel or an ambience idea, you know.
Yes.
Don't you? What to try and create.
Absolutely. We've got a load of crows.
Got a murder of crows flying over us.
Murder of crows. Everybody loves a good murder
I don't know about that, but I do love a good crow.
of crows. Absolutely. We mentioned again, I can't remember. We've just found a lovely cafe, which is I'm just going to move this side because
Your
of my
arm biting.
yes, because of my arm. We found a lovely cafe which we now go to in Worthing, and that's quite nice to have a treat, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Just every now and then, just to be able to go and change the air, change the scenery, and
Yes.
sit somewhere else.
And even if, I mean, you know, the conversations that you have with your partner don't have to be meaningful all the time. That's those inane conversations, or just being in the presence, I think is quite nice, because sometimes you know, if you've had a partner for a long time, and I'm sure this is true with many people, it's that being in their presence says enough.
I love being in the presence and being able to watch the world go by whilst you're having a conversation.
Yes.
You know.
Even if you don't say anything, it's much more fun being with somebody else than sitting there as Billy No Mates.
Sounds like you've tried that.
Well, I've been single for quite some time, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is nice to go out and treat somebody else for a change.
It's nice to be treated.
Exactly. So that's all good fun. We're walking in a park here in Worthing, those of you will know. But I'm sorry, I'm just moving around here now because my other arm is beginning to ache.
Aching.
Is this particular area used to be where the Victorian lake was, or big pond. And it's no longer here, obviously.
This beautiful big beech tree, though, that would have been there when it was there.
Yes, that would have been there. And it's nice to... It's nice to think of those sort of times when the Victorians went out and did all that perambulation. We mentioned, I'm sure we mentioned the seaside, because I think we got that in early before the microphones failed. But that was a time when people would go out to be seen, wouldn't they? You sort of announce that you're to the world that you are an item by being out and about with people.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, just trying to find the sunshine.
There it is.
There it is.
In my face.
In your face. So we'd be very interested to know if if you are in a couple, or in your past when you were in a couple or married or anything like that, where you go to stimulate yourself to get out, as walking through the woods, for example, over the downs, those sort of things, whatever it is that you do.
Where do you like to go with your significant other for a nice bit of time together? Be that conversing or just to be in the presence of?
Yeah, I mean,
we'd like to know.
We've got the van as well, so going out in the van and having cups of tea, it might seem a bit bizarre that you would leave your house, especially at this time of year when it's a bit chillier, and sit in the van in warm clothes and a muffler and have but having a hot soup and just sharing simple things, I think is something you can't really express very easily, the meaning of it.
No.
So, excuse me. So anyway, there we are. We're in the park, we're enjoying ourselves, and we hope you are too. So leave a comment, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and we'll see you next time.
Take care for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.